Good afternoon, St. Mary's. This is Thomas Leah, Director of Religious Education, as you have been told before. So today we are going to talk about something really awesome. So I saw this, we were doing, for our RCI class, we do an RCI, a series for Father John Ricardo, and phenomenal speaker. And he just like, if you don't feel like you know the faith very well, or you just kind of feel like, okay, I've been Catholic, but I don't really understand if, I don't really feel like I have a full understanding of the faith. Literally everyone in my RCI class, by the time that they finish going through this program and they finish taking the classes, they finish watching the video, will have a very substantial understanding of what the church teaches. It's extremely informative. And so he just lays it all out there. Very, very interesting speaker. So I can actually attach the link for you guys if you'd like. You can just check out one of his videos, and if you want to learn more about the Catholic faith, it's 33 videos, and you can just learn everything that, not everything that there is to know, because you can always go deeper and deeper for an infinite amount of time, but you would get a lot of knowledge concerning the Catholic faith. And so one of the videos we watched a couple weeks ago, he was on a retreat with his RCA class, and I think they had like probably 40 or 50 people, but he's probably one of the best priests in the United States, so... but anyway, so he had this, these slides of pictures up, okay? And I'm just going to kind of explain them as we walk through. I'm going to try and add them in a second here. But so basically the first picture shows, as you can kind of see here, a lady's walking up before the Blessed Sacrament. So they're on retreat, and Father John said that the Lord revealed to him in prayer that really to change hearts, all people need to do is just come before the Blessed Sacrament. And so, yeah, he felt convicted. And so for a part of the retreat, they were doing holy hours, and they had a holy hour or vigil go through the night, and so people could sign up. And so the first image, as you can see, is just this lady walking. She's just walking up in front of the Blessed Sacrament. Father John said, if anyone feels called, you can just kind of walk up before the Blessed Sacrament and give your life, surrender your life to the Lord. And so her friend was kind of encouraging her. She's like, come on, just go up there and see what happens, And she's like, no, I don't want to do that. And she said, no, come on, just go for it. And so she goes up. As she's walking up, her friend's taking pictures of this. And so as you can see in the first video, or in the first picture, she's walking up. The second picture, this is what happens on her camera. So she doesn't see any of this while she's taking pictures. But when they're reviewing through these pictures later, this is what happens. So you have the second picture, and there's a light that's coming from nowhere, it seems, right? There's no difference between one shot and the next. It just has, you can just kind of see in front of her, there's a light that's shining, and it's causing the image or the picture here to be less clear. And then the last picture, this is the final image, and you can almost not even see the person, and she's just enveloped in light. Okay, and so yeah, when I saw this, I was blown away. But I think that it just kind of it gives itself to the fact that this is what the church teaches, that the reality that Jesus is in the Eucharist and that going before God, that matters, that does something to us, right? And she probably didn't experience anything at all. Just from her point of view, she probably just went up, knelt, said a quick prayer. But just like a lot of people in the gospel, when they go up before the Lord, and even if they touch his garment, they'd be healed of something, right? And for them, they'd oftentimes know. But for us, if we go up in faith, we too get to have some sort of healing that happens. When we go before the Lord will heal us, right? He always rewards an act of faith. And to one of the mystics, he told them that every moment before the Blessed Sacrament is of infinite value, right? It's valuable beyond our comprehension. And so that just kind of goes to show us, just a real image of what happens when we place ourselves in prayer before the Blessed Sacrament and when we make a sacrifice of our time, which is the most pleasing sacrifice, right? If you're in a relationship, you might not want, presents and, different toys or jewelry or whatever, the thing that you want the most is just to spend time with the person you love. That is always the case, right? It would be a backwards relationship if someone desired to have things more from their spouse than the spouse themselves, right? And so that is the same way with God, right? He wants our time. Why? Because when we give him our time, we can share our hearts. So in adoration, all I do is I simply tell him exactly what I'm feeling, what I'm experiencing. If I don't want to talk, I tell him I don't want to talk. And then we just sit there, and he's completely fine with that. Like, actually, the saints even mention that words are unnecessary in prayer. Silence is God's first language. Everything else is a poor translation. Okay, so just being quiet, just not thinking anything or saying anything or doing anything is completely fine. Or even if you feel bored, telling God, okay, I'm bored. Just whatever it is that's really on your heart, share that with him. And then you'll experience, like, that's when prayer actually takes place, is when we begin to speak to God on a vulnerable level. And then that is the only time I hear God in prayer, is when I start to do that. Otherwise, it's just like completely quiet, and I don't experience God speaking to me. And so I encourage that. Start to learn, start to grow in prayer. It's just like learning a language. It takes time and it takes consistency. But after a while, you get good at it. You start to recognize it, and it's clear. You don't second guess yourself. Was that me or was that somebody? You just start to know that it's God. And so yeah, so that is what I encourage. We got the 40 hours of adoration coming up here. I just strongly encourage you. If you haven't signed up yet, please just hit the link and sign up. Just try it for an hour. See what happens. We're gonna have books in the back, so don't feel like, oh, it's just gonna be this horribly long experience of me just sitting there with nothing to do. St. Teresa of Avila said for the first 10 years of her prayer, she couldn't go to the chapel without a book, right? And so we'll have different things to read and different ways that we can, God speaks through different means. So a lot of times it's if you haven't prayed or you're not good at praying, that sounds strange, but that is the case. It takes a while to get good at it. Then we can use books and we can read, and then he uses those things to hit like a certain key in our hearts or our minds. When we're reading something and something strikes us, that's when it's like, okay, then God is trying to tell me something here, or this is significant, okay? And he wants me to pray over this. So I think that, and it goes by very quickly. And then you'll kind of catch yourself more and more wanting to come back. Very last thing, Jesus says, come to me, all you who are labored and are burdened, and I will give you rest. And so if the only thing I can kind of, one of the most important things I'd like to mention about prayer is if we feel like we're going to prayer and like we're just like, oh, we have to say the rosary and it's just costing us a great deal, or oh, I have to like make something happen in prayer, then we're praying wrong, right? Jesus says, come to me so that I can give you rest. So we're supposed to feel rested. And so use that as an indicator. If you feel like there's tension in your prayer, then you're not praying well, okay? You're supposed to pray, you're supposed to receive that rest. Prayer is supposed to be life-giving, and it's supposed to fill our hearts with rest because we don't find it anywhere else. I mean, even when we sleep, we wake up and we're exhausted, right? And that's even like going from bad to worse sometimes. But when we're praying, we truly find that rest that our souls are dying for. And so I just encourage you, give it a shot. Take a leap of faith. And even if you want to sign up, the later hours are the better hours. So if you want to take a 2 a.m. or a 3 a.m., I'll certainly be doing the same. So that is all that I had. I hope that kind of these images help you. And again, maybe these pictures is like, oh, there's always with technology, anybody can do that, right? But it was just, but at a certain point too, we have to kind of say, okay, am I going to believe somebody or I'm not going to believe somebody? So we can, anybody can fabricate anything, but it's coming from a priest and it's coming from someone who's just taking shots on her cell phone, and both these people are trustworthy, right? So I think that it really just comes down to it. But if the picture doesn't do it experience it yourself and then see what happens, okay? Awesome. God bless you guys. Thank you for watching my video, and I hope to see you next week. All right, God bless. Bye-bye.